Okay, so the M in NYC. The M really doesn't stand for anything. I just needed something to enhance the NYC. Like DRG and W, I needed the M in NYC. It could be my NYC or Mitch, that's my nickname, NYC. This layout started about 22 years ago in my two-car garage in Memphis. It started with a single 2x4 bolted to the wall and a single track that ran back and forth. That's all I wanted. I had nowhere else to put it, no attic, no basement, so the garage was the only place. Well, from that 2x4, this all developed. I have basically 4 shelf tables, 3 of which folded against the wall in the garage, and the one against the garage door is an extension ladder filled with foam and covered with scenery. I could lift it up and out of the way and the cars could come in, and then I had to strong arm it back down in place. But that worked very well for me in Memphis. Then we found this basement that I had to have, and I created this whole layout and drove it here myself in a Penske 22-foot truck, and nothing broke. Nothing. Everything was intact. When I put it together originally, I figured we'd be moving. So it was very simple. All I had to do is unbolt it from the wall and bring it here to Marietta. I loved it. It worked out great. Train buddies were willing to help, so I had plenty of help taking it down and putting it back together again. Okay, gals and guys, we're going to start out on the M in NYC at the Michigan Central Depot, located about 2 miles west of downtown Detroit. Now, why I have a Detroit railroad is because as a kid out of high school, I started working for the New York Central Railroad. That is the Michigan Central Depot in miniature form. I worked on the 13th floor with the chief dispatcher at one time and really enjoyed my job. We'll come on down the line here, past the coaling station, and we'll wind up in North Yard, where I was a tower operator for some time. North of Detroit, about 10 miles, that went up towards Lapeer and Bay City. Now we have a little detail in the road there. We have a guy in a manhole trying to figure out why it's plugged up. We'll come towards the servicing center. Here we have a complete shop, wheel shop. We have our track maintenance train ready to go if necessary here. And by the way, these are all scratch built. And by the way, I have all my poles wired. I think that's an essential part of model railroading. You can't have a railroad with wireless back in the 50s, 40s, 30s. It's got to be wired. Down here, a scratch-built bridge with a backup. We're having a traffic backup because we're having a situation on the bridge. As we get closer, I'll explain that. We have union workers dispute on top of the bridge. We got the fire department there, the police is there trying to settle it. Down below the bridge we have Butler Industries that supplies some natural gas to some of the industries in the Detroit area. I have 21 industries we can ship to and pick up from. Operations are a lot of fun. Sometimes they get complicated. Most of my turnouts are with Atlas switch machines. I do have tortoise, and a large number of the turnouts are done by hand, manually. Here we're coming up on Ann Arbor Station. That's about 25-30 miles west of Detroit. You can see there's a hearse there with a casket, a small casket. And over on the far end we have a cemetery, and there is a fellow digging a hole for that casket. Now, in my early days, which as a teenager, working for the New York Central Railroad was quite a feat. I was the youngest kid on the road in the NYC division, company, on the Michigan Central Division especially. Here we have the Ted Burham lumber yard. A good friend of mine, train buddy in Memphis, Tennessee, named after him. And across the tracks is the Kenny Young wheel shop with turntable. The turntable works. I do spin engines on that table. Over here we have Jerry LaChapelle Turpentine Company, another good train buddy of mine from Memphis. And when we get on down here, we're coming into Dearborn, where I was born and raised. And I can never remember being without a railroad, of course. Starting very young, my dad was very interested in railroading. We would pack a lunch on a weekend, Mom would, and we'd head for the railroad tracks. If you notice across the way there on the river, that's the Detroit River. The tower to the right, there's a ship coming in. The light is blinking to show the channels. And now that's Windsor on the other side of the Detroit River. They have silos there for the grain. They made whiskey, Canadian Club. I do believe that the silos are now gone, and the city has really progressed and grown. It has quite a skyscraper front line now. Coming on down here, we have the high-grade packing yard, cattle yard, pig yard. They're getting ready to be shipped over to Swift for slaughter. I have Lee Ferris and Company Ice House. My good friend Lee Ferris is my Marietta train buddy. You can see the guys working there with salt bags and ice and loading up the reefer cars. Okay, most of these are kits, of course, that are kit bashed, and a lot of the buildings too are scratch built. I make my own street posts, street lamps. I make my own road signals and switch stands. I try to do most everything I can. Of course, there's some you just can't, but that's the whole hobby. That's what makes it so much fun. We got the town of Ypsilanti with Ypsilanti Station. Ypsilanti is known for its building of bombers during World War II. The hangars are still there. We have this Railway Express building that is all scratch built. And above the REA is Ralph Miller Scrap Metal, another train buddy from Memphis. And these are metal shavings from a friend of mine who worked in a metal shop. And I think I get a lot of comments on that. It looks very, very authentic, very good, rusty, dirty, makes for a good scene. Down here we have high tension cables, Edison and Company, with some pigeons sitting on the wire over there. Notice they're all in one direction except for maybe one or two. And below the high tension wires is the slaughterhouse, Swift and Company, with a new delivery. Detroit Edison has a sub-electric plant right there, scratch built. And let's give the good Lord some credit here. Wouldn't be for him, I wouldn't have this railroad. Brinkley, another train buddy in Memphis, is barrel cleaning service. He really doesn't do that. I just gave him that job. And over here, you can tell, I think, what these tanks are made out of if you look real close. Toilet paper rolls, all scratch built. And down here we have my good friend Irvin Cooperman, who is in the hardware business, so he has a hardware supply shop or warehouse. And across the street from him is Hugh Tiford's auto mechanic shop. I see there's a welder in there doing some work. Okay, we got the Great Lakes gas, a second shot of it. That's all scratch built. Again, using some rolls off of, I believe that's wax paper rolls. The fence is also scratch built out of door screen wire with some thread for the bobbed wire. And for my roads, I use tar paper, roofing tar paper, and I get a lot of my ballast off the street at the curbside. This is not typical to Hamtramck, Michigan. They really don't have a depot there, but it was a gift from a good friend of mine, so it had to go somewhere. So we put it in Hamtramck. The gas station across the street is scratch built. It's got some activity going on in the garage with an old hot rod. And on the other side here is a animal rescue center alongside the gas station. That belongs to Casey. Casey's Rescue. Now again, you can see my telephone poles are all wired, and that's quite a feat, I will admit. Fortunately, I have not had any accidents of reaching in and breaking. Everything has been working very well. Main Street, Hamtramck. If you notice, the traffic signal is just a stop and go. Those are scratch built. I also tried my luck at some paper buildings. This is printed off of my printer, off the internet, and the one across the way there is too, which turned out pretty good. It doesn't have that real good 3-dimension, but it's not bad. It works very well. I think what adds to it is when you detail it with LEDs, light it up, give it a little personality, it makes it much more interesting. Here's a shot of Main Street. We can just see the back sides of some of the buildings. There's global van lines. They're very active. They're busy all the time. We get boxcar traffic in and out of there all the time. Working down here, we got Alan Saley machine shop. He's a busy fella. He's from the UK. Keeps a lot of revenue going for this railroad. The switch stand is scratch built along with the push-pull that changes direction of the switch points. I put an LED in there, some sequence, and made a working switch stand. I've got that where I push, pull, snap it. There's a magnet there, jumps it in place. I can stop it right there. Whoop. Or I can make it go the other way too. My own design. Now I didn't have enough room for a roundhouse, so I made this a wheel shop. At each station, I call it a station, at each industrial area, I have one of these, so when anybody comes over and doesn't know where to take a car to drop off or pick up, it's on their switch list, the area is on the switch list, and all the spots are numbered, so it makes it relatively simple to move rolling stock around.
And go.
Okay, this is my control panel, of course. I have a power pack for each of the 4 tables. The 4 tables, as you saw, in a square because it was in my garage in Memphis, Tennessee, and I delivered it here when we bought this house. I use Prodigy Advance. I love it. It's simple and very, very easy. It works very well for me. Right now I have it on a wire. However, I do have Wi-Fi, and when we do operations, we use Wi-Fi. That winds up the tour of the MNNYC. I'm glad and happy and so honored to be able to do this. When this pandemic is over, I invite everybody to come and see it in person if you haven't already seen it. This is my world down here. This is my man cave, as we all have man caves. So please do come by sometimes in the future. You're welcome anytime. I'm a phone call away. Grandkids are welcome. Wheelchairs are welcome. Easy entrance. And hope to see you soon. Thank you very much.